In this video, we're going to do a hot wash, a post-incident evaluation of how the police reacted to the school shooting that occurred in Nashville last March 27th. The perpetrator was a 28-year-old godless nihilist who evidently had significant mental health issues, but was able to legally purchase 7 different types of firearms anyway, which tells you that gun control doesn't work. 3 of those 7 firearms she used in the shooting, and she fired a total of 152 shots. Which also tells you that high-capacity magazine bans don't work either. But that's neither here nor there. This story is several weeks old now, so outside of families and friends of the individuals this lady shot, nobody really cares about the specifics of this story anymore. I won't bother with names and such because it's pointless. But the pronoun-loving nutjob entered a private Christian school where she had reportedly been a student previously, and shot a total of 6 individuals, 3 of whom were young children aged 9. The other 3 were adults who were employees of the school. Metropolitan Nashville Police Department released a body camera footage some 2 weeks ago, and some of you have probably already seen it. For those of you who haven't yet and would like to see it, I'll share a link of that video below. Now, to all of you who have seen the footage, we can all agree that the police officers were operating within the boundaries of the law, and there was no harm caused to bystanders. But in situations where some deranged active shooter is involved, it is important to prioritize the lives you can save over your own tactical maneuvers. This means that tactical effectiveness may be compromised in favor of quickly neutralizing the threat. From a moral standpoint, this is an admirable approach. By accepting that they might make some tactical mistakes to prioritize saving time, the police was able to get to the pronoun-loving psycho quicker, neutralizing her and minimizing further casualties, particularly innocent children. Essentially, they were willing to take bold risks and make tactical concessions in the hope of buying time to rescue potential victims, acknowledging this moral tactical trade-off. I strongly support their actions and commend their prioritization of moral principles over tactical considerations. Now, the way this will go is we will be doing an AAR, aka an after-action review, to see where these fine gentlemen did really well. Also look at some of the things pundits say they didn't do so well, and some things they probably could have done a lot better. Now, we're not going to pretend that we're tactical experts here. We're just curious to know how these unsung heroes were able to quickly neutralize the perpetrator. Unlike what happened in Uvalde, where the cops were spineless, incompetent, and took a lackadaisical approach. So in this clip, we see Officer Rex Engelbert driving. Upon exiting his vehicle, instead of immediately rushing towards the active shooter, he goes to the trunk of his car. He understands that using a long gun could provide him with a considerable advantage over a pistol in such a situation. It's worth noting that he already staged his long gun for quick access, and he had properly stowed the sling and an LPVO. This level of preparation demonstrates that Officer Engelbert is highly competent in his job. Despite the high-pressure situation, he remains composed and collected. We can hear him talking to the lady. She is giving him info about 2 missing kids. He continues walking towards the door while calmly requesting for backup. He then unlocks the door. He yells, "Let's go!" and motions for his colleagues to enter the building. All right, so let's pause here for a second. The first officer, who had a long gun, opened the door, and the second officer entered the building. However, the problem was that the second officer carried a 12-gauge shotgun. The hallway they were walking into was a particularly long hallway. Shotguns are kind of useless there, but they probably didn't know that it was that long anyway. Experts also say that just before the shotgun guy entered the hallway, his elbow was way up, which is not ideal since it can hit door frames and cause problems. While moving through narrow corridors, it's important to keep the elbow tucked in to avoid getting shot or injured. But he was moving quickly and decisively, which compensated for some of the tactical errors. There was a brief moment of confusion as 2 of the officers seemed uncertain whether to focus on the window or each other. However, given the intense circumstances, this is understandable. It's clear that these officers are still trying to establish a rhythm and are not entirely in sync yet. But now you'll see this guy again with the shotgun really start moving decisively and aggressively. And that's what you want, and quick. So, here you go. This isn't going to be ideal. The lead officer's actions were somewhat confusing, as he initially appeared to be moving towards the right side of the room, then suddenly veered towards the left, before ultimately moving to the center of the room. However, I can understand why he made that adjustment. He likely noticed an open danger area on the left side. He decided to pivot around it instead of pushing straight down the left wall. This allowed him to clear the room from a safe distance while moving towards his objective.
Next, let's go.
We hear him say, "Next, let's go." I really appreciate this moment. The officers are seen running to get to the next location. You can really feel that sense of urgency, their dedication and commitment to their footsteps. Excellent work. The officer in the lead, who is wearing a riot mask and has his weapon held close to his body. He appears to be outpacing his colleagues, which is not ideal unless they are responding to an active shooter situation. In that case, speed is essential. Additionally, pay attention to when he approaches a door on the right side. Keep an eye out for that. It's important to note that the lead officer's main priority should be securing the open space in front of him, rather than looking through the window. I understand that this can be confusing, as it exposes him to the right side, but his primary focus should be straight ahead to the atrium that will open up. Currently, he seems to be looking back instead of forward, which is not ideal. So we hear him say, I got it, I got it. They open the door. It's just another bathroom. And they're running again. They're checking all the rooms in the hallway as they go. Each time they clear a room, they see them running towards the next room when they reach the stairs. The operator, holding a pistol, pauses and allows this one with the long gun to take the front position. At this point, we can hear shots fired. They now know where the active shooter is. One particular aspect that stood out to me, this is an improvised team whose members do not belong to the same organization and are not familiar with each other's working styles or even each other's names. You know this is the case because they address each other using the color of their clothes, the names of the weapons each of them carry, or even the optic mounted on their weapon. It's why you can hear one of them yelling, "Push it, LPVO!"
Push it, LPVO! Push it, LPVO!
Telling Officer Engelbert, the guy with an LPVO-equipped rifle, to move forward as they get nearer to the deranged active shooter. It's impressive how they managed to work together so effectively, especially considering they were an impromptu team, had to deal with the distraction of a persistent fire alarm. It's commendable how quickly and purposefully they moved, and I have to say they were all pretty badass. Well, it's always great when a team can train together extensively. These guys show that even an unfamiliar group can come together and get the job done. So it's at this point in the video where we have to stop. Otherwise, you know how the YouTube overlords have the power to shadow ban small channels like ours if we show you how the LPVO officer took down the active shooter. Now let's take a look at another officer's footage, this one from Officer Michael Colazzo's body cam. So instead of going to where the shotgun guy went in earlier, he goes in via another door and goes straight up the second floor. So these men came in much later because they're trying to catch up with the other guys. Upon Officer Michael Colazzo entering the door, we hear him say, "Rifle first," then yell to the guy in a blue shirt saying, "Blue, go!"
Rifle first, blue, go!
We have individuals dressed in casual attire. Their agency affiliation is unknown. They could be off-duty police officers or federal agents who are working in cooperation with the local police. So they ran down the hall and stopped at what looks like a reception area. Here we see Officer Michael Colazzo giving our shotgun guy a pat on the back, and like I said earlier, our shotgun guy here moves super fast. You can really feel the sense of purpose and urgency in the way he moves, and the way everyone else moves too, for that matter. One other thing to note here is that when there are emergency sirens blaring, and you can feel the threat of danger is present, you can literally smell death. During moments of extreme stress or danger, it's possible for the heart rate to increase rapidly due to the release of adrenaline. The exact heart rate can vary depending on the individual and the specific circumstances, but it's not uncommon for heart rates to reach 150 to 200 beats per minute, sometimes higher. Sustained heart rate at this level can be dangerous and potentially life-threatening if not managed appropriately. These sudden spikes in heart rate can put a significant strain on a normal person's cardiovascular system and can cause breathlessness. Some individuals hyperventilate even before engaging in actual combat. The added stress of movement, the weight of the gear, fear can be overwhelming and may lead to a physical shutdown. It's important to have a certain level of cardiovascular fitness to manage and cope with the physiological effects of these types of fear. They were able to catch up at this point. We can hear Officer Colazzo telling our shotgun guy to hit the stairs. It's at this point when we heard shots fired.
Shots fired, shots fired, shots fired, move!
When they reached the end of the hall, they stopped briefly to listen to where the shots were being fired. We hear Officer Colazzo telling everyone, including our shotgun guy, to turn right.
Right!
As they get closer to the end of the hallway, we can hear Officer Colazzo say, "Push it, LPVO!"
Push it, LPVO!
Instructing Officer Engelbert to take the lead and head right. And again, we have to stop the video right here because YouTube's community guidelines, suck. So from a legal perspective, the situation appears clear-cut. Well, we're not attorneys. Here, pundits who have seen this video didn't see anything problematic. Morally, the tactics employed by these fine men were admirable, moving swiftly and cautiously in between the clear spaces to avoid causing any unintended harm. It's impressive to see them executing the right approach with such speed and precision. The response time was approximately 15 minutes, and once they arrived, it took them around 3 minutes to neutralize the threat and clear the school. Overall, the quick, decisive, and aggressive action taken by these officers was impressive and commendable. So to all you hardworking police officers in Nashville, and all other across the country as well, we offer our utmost respect and gratitude. Keep training hard and stay vigilant. Oh, and by the way, in case you haven't been following the news on this school shooting, it was later discovered that the pronoun-loving nihilist in the story was originally going to target a different school but changed her mind because it had too much security. These kinds of people are cowards. They're only going after easy targets, don't have the guts to get into a fight with someone who can shoot back at them. And that's a fact. Around 96% of mass shooting incidents occur in gun-free zones. Anti-gun progressivists failed to grasp the root of this problem. The most effective way to prevent such events is to have an armed resource officer present on school premises. It doesn't have to be a police officer either. School administrators, teachers, and any other school employee. We all have the right to keep and bear arms under the Second Amendment. There's no better deterrent for these deranged individuals than knowing that someone inside a school is carrying an AR-15 and will shoot back at them with near impunity.